is also from environment. She is an active volunteer. What she does in the last several years, she contributed her own time and for the individual with special need. She regularly do the volunteer in the hospital and the care center. Make a long story short, she is a kind lady with a warm heart. She is our Minister of Culture, Multiculturalism, and Status of Women. Her name is Leela Sharon Aheer. Welcome.
I hope you can hear me. When I stand before a beautiful group of people like this, I constantly say this, but I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'm with my family. So many of you, I know you from so many organizations and different things that we've done over the years together. And you are my family. I've been invited to your homes and to your events. We've sung together. I think my son has probably attended as many events with the Chinese community as I have. And every single time we grow these relationships in this beautiful culture of friendship. Before I begin, I'd like to thank our co-chairs, Benny Zhu, Dr. Zhu, and Li Bo, and the board, Cecilia Chen, John Yu, Bo Li, and Yulong Wu. I'd also like to just take a moment to also do an Indigenous acknowledgement to thank our beautiful Treaty 7 brothers and sisters, Inuit, Indigenous, First Nations, and Métis people who've been here for thousands of years before we were, who graciously share the land that we're standing on right now with all of us. Thank you so much for that gift. It's with such gratitude that we stand before you. Since George Floyd was killed, people around the world have protested the injustice and stood in solidarity with those who face violence because of the color of their skin. Tens of thousands of Albertans flooded the streets in honor to recognize the memory of those who've been beaten and killed because of racism. As elected officials, we owe it to the people that we serve to rise above political differences and turn this incredible momentum of Black Lives Matter movement, and as well as the calls to address racism, and especially against our Chinese communities and all of our communities, our Indigenous communities and peoples, into lasting, forever changes in our institutions. And we continue to fight COVID, and I'm sorry, Minister Sani, but I have to mention you again as well too, because this beautiful human has been on the front lines of this, not only dealing with our beautiful minorities, but also people who are impacted at the socioeconomic levels, making sure that our homeless are safe, that all people are safe. I think we need to give her another round of applause because she's just been stellar. And those are the kinds of things, and when we look at discrimination, we have to look at all of those pieces and we have to acknowledge this. And when we see our Chinese community, our beautiful brothers and sisters in our Chinese community being targeted, we have to stand up and say something. It is absolutely, and Stephen, you mentioned this, it's our collective responsibility. Racism is partially fueled because of lack of understanding and a fear of change. And one very, very important piece of this puzzle is actually bringing people together and promoting diversity and our multicultural tapestry. We have to celebrate at every chance that we get the food and the culture and our traditions and our families. The response must be promoting diversity. The response must be what has happened here in Alberta. And I have to tell you, and I think I speak on behalf of all of my colleagues here, it has warmed our hearts. We have seen everything from major cities responding to the smallest little rural communities. And Martin Luther King said it the best. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can. In that spirit, I choose personally to share the benefits of diversity and to amplify those voices of change and those who've experienced discrimination and elevate that work by those individuals and those organizations across this province. Right here in Alberta, we've had reports of racist comments and graffiti, and I know this has been said before, but this is hurting our people. This is hurting our communities. So what do? Do we back down? Do we quietly go in the shadows? No, we do not. We stand firm and proud with our brothers and sisters, and we say no every single time. Big, bright, beautiful lights into those dark, dark corners. And in the midst of that global fear and uncertainty, and those people trying to take away our rights, and trying to instill fear, and trying to create division amongst us, we say no. We will work together to make sure that this province that has grown together from our first peoples to the very first people that signed Treaty 7 143 years ago, to those who have come yesterday, even to grow this beautiful province, that is the collective goal. We will not be held back. We will run forward. And we will not use the crisis to be afraid. We will use that to jump off and create brand new decisions and brand new ideas, especially because we have a path that we must create for our children in the hopes that they never, ever, ever have to experience what any of us have been through in this room. Events such as this, thank you. Thank you so much for this beautiful opportunity. And Minister Luan, you almost made me cry. Stephen, I mean, honestly, and Minister Sani, my sister, and Minister Pan, you are such strong, incredible ethnic women that come to the table every single day to stand up for our community. But there is also incredibly difficult and complex conversations that we must not be afraid to have. We must evolve, and we must give people the space to change and to evolve. None of us started off on this journey perfect. I always say this, I'm the most imperfect person I know. I've made so many mistakes in my own personal lifetime, but you know what? I use those as a trampoline to become better. I use those opportunities as an opportunity to be able to speak to other people, to help them understand that the words that they've said hurt people, that the opportunities that we have, even in the mistakes that we made, are actually the opportunities to move forward. Grand Chief of Treaty 6, Willie Littlechild, says this all the time. We must walk shoulder to shoulder through adversity, no matter what. I am honored to challenge racism, honored, and I will every single day of my life. And multiculturalism will give us the opportunity to create that space. And as Albertans of multi backgrounds and cultures and experiences, those voices, you are the voices of change, all of you. And it has to do with absolutely every single one of us. And I've seen so much progress too. We talk about the things that we've done wrong, and that is absolutely necessary. But what have we accomplished? So much together. The fact that we're standing here in this space at this time together, isn't that amazing? Think about where you were 5 years ago and what you were thinking. Your own unconscious bias. This calls out every one of us to think differently about how we see each other. And we work together towards fostering those welcoming spaces. And we work together to find the things that unite us, not those that divide. And those who wish to divide us do not deserve the platform to stand up and say that. It is those who will bring us together that will change the world. And it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we call that out. We can identify barriers in justice, education, services, all of those things. We will work collaboratively together. And you have people here in this room right now who want to see those changes happen. And I just, again, with all my heart and tremendous amount of humility, stand before you with the absolute blessing of being a minister of this province. But what I do know is that in this room, I've created more friendships. Those friendships mean more to me than any other position, whether elected or not. And I want to thank you for inviting me into your space, for allowing me the opportunity to talk about this, and for thanking the Chinese community for doing this, for thanking our Black community for coming together and showing people what true unity looks like. Thank you so much.